My phone exploded at 2:23 a.m. Mom screaming, "Your brother is in the emergency room. Send $18,000 for the surgery deposit right now or he spends the night screaming in pain and we lose everything," I said calmly. "Call your perfect little princess." Then I hung up, turned off my phone, and went back to sleep. The text from my father the next morning made me book a flight I never thought I'd take. My phone lit up at 2:23 a.m. with Mom's name flashing, and I knew before I answered that someone needed money. I'm Brooke Callahan, 31 years old, a financial analyst living alone in Minneapolis. For as long as I can remember, my family has treated me like a personal ATM. My parents raised me to believe the oldest daughter sacrifices everything for the younger ones, especially for their precious only son. I've paid tuition, bought cars, cleared credit card debt, and covered rent when nobody else would. And I always caved, because that's what big sisters do. But that night at 2 a.m., something in me finally snapped. Let me explain how I got here. Growing up outside Salt Lake City, my parents had one clear philosophy. Dylan was the future, and the girls existed to support him. My brother Dylan is 27 now. My sister Paige is 24. From the second Dylan was born, he became the center of everything. The only son, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. Paige came along and instantly became the perfect little princess, sweet and obedient, always rewarded for batting her eyelashes. And me? From the moment I could understand words, I was told my job was to carry the family. "You're the oldest, Brooke. You take care of your brother and sister." That's just how it is. When I was 22, fresh out of college with my finance degree, I moved back home for a year and worked 2 jobs. Days at an accounting firm, nights waitressing, just so I could cover Dylan's first year at Utah State. $24,000 wired straight from my savings. A year later, he dropped out because college wasn't his thing. Mom hugged him and said boys need to find their own path, while Dad took him to a jazz game to cheer him up. Nobody mentioned the $24,000 again. 2 years after that, Paige graduated high school, and Mom called me crying, saying my baby sister deserved something special for her hard work. 2 weeks later, I co-signed for a white Jeep Cherokee with a 48-month loan that took $520 a month straight from my paycheck. Paige sent me a thank you text with heart emojis, then posted the Jeep on Instagram with the caption, "Best sister ever." That was the extent of her gratitude. Last year, Mom called me at 4 a.m. hysterical because the credit cards were maxed out, $11,000 on Dylan's business expenses and Paige's influencer equipment. I transferred the money before I got out of bed, and she promised it was the last time, but it wasn't. Every time I tried to say no, the script was the same. Mom would cry, Dad would go silent and disappointed, Dylan would call me selfish, Paige would ice me out for weeks. The message was clear. If I didn't pay, I wasn't family. So I started keeping a spreadsheet of tuition, car payments, credit card bailouts, and emergency requests. $145,000 total. Every cent scraped together from overtime shifts and skipped to vacations, while I told myself that someday they'd finally see me as more than a walking checkbook. Not once did anyone say thank you like they meant it. It was expected, it was my duty, it was what big sisters do. By the time I moved to Minneapolis at 25, I thought the distance would slow things down, but it didn't. The requests just switched to Venmo and Zelle, faster and cleaner, no conversation required. I still said yes most of the time because the guilt was heavier than the bank balance. Because every time I tried to say no, I could hear my mother's voice telling me that family takes care of family, until I started waking up at 3 a.m., wondering if I'd ever buy my own place or start my own life, or if I was just going to bleed money into that house near Salt Lake forever. That was the moment I realized they didn't see me as their daughter. They saw me as an endless resource, and resources eventually run dry. 2 months before that 2 a.m. call, Dylan announced in the family group chat that he needed a reset weekend in Atlantic City with his buddy Marcus. Marcus Chen, the guy whose dad owned a chain of car dealerships across Nevada and Utah. Money to burn and no sense about when to stop burning it. Dylan said it was just 4 days, and Mom and Dad were covering the flight and hotel room at Borgata. Before I could process it, Paige chimed in that she was tagging along for content, adding a winking emoji. "Don't worry, sis. Marcus is taking care of everything. Zero cost to the family fund." I found out the real story through Paige's Instagram. There she was at Salt Lake International, posing by the departure gate with a brand new Michael Kors bag. Caption, "Thank you, Mommy and Daddy." I screenshotted it and sent it to Mom with a question mark. She replied instantly, "We only paid for Dylan, sweetie." Paige said she's covering herself. Translation, they handed Dylan $4,000 in cash and turned a blind eye to everything else. Dylan texted me that night, "Sis, your wallet gets a break for once. Parents covered me." "You're off the hook, LOL. I typed back okay and left it on red, and they flew out Thursday morning. The Instagram stories started before they even landed. Dylan posted a selfie on the tarmac with the caption, "AC takeover starts now." Paige followed up with a video panning across first-class seats, champagne in hand, first class, on a flight Mom and Dad supposedly paid for with their retirement savings. By Friday, the feed was non-stop. Check-in at Borgata, a 2-bedroom suite overlooking the boardwalk. Paige's ring light in the marble bathroom. Dylan throwing $100 chips onto a craps table like Monopoly money. Then came the yacht, the white Escalade limo, and Paige's TikTok where she danced on the bow while Dylan and Marcus threw cash into the wind. 2 million views in 6 hours. Comments flooded in. Goals, rich best friend energy. Whose sister do I need to be to live like this? I watched from my apartment in Minneapolis eating leftover Thai food, wondering who was actually paying for all this. That same afternoon, Dylan FaceTimed me from the casino floor, already tipsy and grinning ear to ear. "Look where we are, Brooke. High roller section, bottle service, the works. Parents hooked it up big time. I asked how much this was costing. He laughed. "Don't worry about it. Marcus is covering covering the rooms and bottles. I'm just having fun at the tables. The call ended with him blowing me a kiss, and I sat there staring at my phone because something felt off. $4,000 from mom and dad. Marcus covering hotels and drinks. But the gambling? That was all. Dylan. And $100 chips at craps tables don't come cheap. The math wasn't mathing, but I told myself it wasn't my problem because they were adults. By Saturday evening, the posts had escalated again. Private poker room with stacks of chips taller than their drinks. Paige wearing a diamond tennis bracelet I'd never seen before with the caption, "Little gifts from Big Bro's Lucky Streak." Dylan filming himself, pushing a stack of black chips across a blackjack table while the dealer counted them out loud. $8,000, $12,000, $15,000. Marcus screaming, "We own this town," in the background. I did the math in my head. The buy-in for that room started at $25,000 per seat. 3 seats plus the yacht Marcus covered plus the bottles. But the gambling money was coming from somewhere else. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom, a selfie of her and Dad on the couch at home smiling at their phones. Caption, "So proud of our kids living their best life." Then another text came through in the same thread. "Don't worry, Kevin. She doesn't know about the second mortgage. Dylan promised this trip would fix everything." I stared at the screen. Second mortgage? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. A new message. "Sorry, sweetie. That was meant for Dad. Ignore it. Love you." I didn't respond. I knew my parents didn't have that kind of money. Their retirement was comfortable, not Kardashian level. But a second mortgage to fund what? Which could only mean one thing. Somebody was running up debt they couldn't pay, and my parents were in deeper than I ever knew. And every time that had happened before, the call always came to me. I muted the group chat, closed every app, and told myself whatever mess they were making, I wasn't cleaning it up. I had no idea how fast that promise was about to break. At exactly 2:23 a.m. on Sunday, my phone lit up like a fire alarm with Mom's name flashing again and again. I answered on the 5th ring. Brooke. Oh God, Brooke. Mom was gasping between sobs. Dylan's in the emergency room. Security tackled him. He's screaming in pain and something's wrong with his shoulder. Dad grabbed the phone, his voice cracking. "Your brother lost control at the tables. He tried to sign another marker and the pit boss cut him off." Dylan shoved him. Casino security took him down hard. Dislocated shoulder, maybe a torn rotator cuff. He's at Atlanticare Regional and they're holding his ID because he owes them $60,000 in markers he can't cover. "He's begging for you, Brooke. Literally begging." Mom grabbed the phone back, wailing. "The hospital won't do the surgery without $18,000 up front. I maxed out every Zelle limit I have and I can't send another cent until tomorrow. Wire it, Venmo it, Apple Pay, anything." I sat up in the dark with the room completely silent except for her screaming through the speaker. My pulse was racing, but my voice came out flat. "Why can't you two pay?" Dead air, and then Mom started sobbing again. "We're broke, baby. We gave him everything we had for the trip, and more. We thought he was just having fun. You've always been the strong one." I cut her off. "Call your little princess." I ended the call and my finger hovered over the power button. Part of me wanted to call back, to ask if he was really okay, to be the good daughter one more time the way I'd been trained since I could walk. I lay there, in the dark with my heart pounding, running through every scenario. What if his shoulder was really messed up? What if he needed me? What if this was the one time it was actually serious and I wasn't there? Then I remembered the $24,000 for college he dropped out of, the Jeep payments, the credit cards, the 3 a.m. calls that never ended with thank you, the spreadsheet on my laptop showing $145,000 of my life savings poured into people who only called when they needed something. I pulled my hand back from the phone. For the first time in 31 years, I chose myself. I powered the phone completely down, yanked the charger out of the wall, lay back against the pillow. My heart was still pounding, but something in me had finally stopped caring. No guilt, no second guessing, no tears. Just done. Finally, done. I rolled over and slept harder than I had in years. I woke up at 9 a.m. to sunlight streaming through the blinds. For a moment, I forgot everything. Then I remembered and felt light, lighter than I'd felt since I was a kid. I left my phone dead on the nightstand, made French press coffee, took a long shower, and ate yogurt with granola while reading a book. Normal Sunday things. I didn't plug my phone in until almost 11. The second it booted, notifications flooded in. 74 missed calls, 189 text messages, voicemails stacked 3 screens deep. Mom's text started pleading and turned vicious within an hour. "He's in surgery. They're pinning his shoulder. The doctor said another hour without proper treatment and he could have gone into shock. You're killing your brother. I never thought I'd see my daughter become this monster." Dad sent one single message. "He keeps asking why you hate him." Paige went nuclear. She'd posted a 45-second TikTok from the ER hallway with her face streaked with mascara and her voice shaking. "My 27-year-old brother is fighting for his life right now, and my own sister is refusing to send $18,000. $18,000. She makes 6 figures and she's letting him suffer. Please share this." She tagged my full name, my company, my city. The video hit 1.5 million views in 3 hours. Then came the photos. Dylan on a gurney with his shirt cut open and shoulder wrapped, face swollen. A close-up of the casino marker with his signature shaky under a bright red $60,000 balance. Screenshots of Mom's declined Zelle attempts. Another video of Paige holding Dylan's hand while he groaned with the caption, "Big sis won't save him." Strangers flooded my DMs. "Hope you rot in hell. Karma's coming. Fake feminist. I know where you work." I scrolled through all of it while eating cereal and felt nothing. The casino called first from a blocked New Jersey number. "Miss Callahan, this is the credit cage at Borgata. We have your brother on hold for outstanding markers. Can we run a card to release his ID and close the account? Contact his parents." The woman hesitated. "They've been here. Their cards are maxed. That's not my problem." Click. The The hospital billing department called 10 minutes later, a tired administrator explaining policy. New Jersey law allows cash-only demands for elective procedures when no insurance is verified. We've stabilized him, but the orthopedic surgeon won't complete the repair without a deposit. Not my bill. Not my responsibility. She sighed and hung up. Mom tried FaceTime. Declined. Dad tried. Declined. Paige tried from 3 different accounts. All declined. Marcus texted from Dylan's phone. Your sister is literally the worst human I've ever met. Blocked. I opened my banking app and stared at the balance I'd worked so hard for. $18,000 wouldn't have bankrupted me. $30,000 wouldn't have. But I was done being the parachute every time they decided to jump off a cliff. I blocked Mom's number for the first time in my life, then Dad's, then every unknown number that had called that morning. When I got back from a 5-mile run along the Mississippi River Trail, Paige's GoFundMe was live. Goal: $25,000 to save Dylan from medical neglect by family. Already at $12,000. The top donor wrote, no sister should ever do this to her own brother. Mom's final text came at 1:47 p.m. They're transferring him to county jail tonight if bail isn't posted. No more hospital bed. Concrete floor. You win. I stared at it for a full minute, waiting for the old guilt to rise, but nothing came. Just quiet. I blocked the number permanently, opened my laptop, and spent the rest of the day finishing the quarterly analysis that would probably get me promoted to senior manager. For the first time in 31 years, nobody on earth expected a single dollar from me. Monday morning at 9:15 a.m., my phone buzzed with a 609 area code. Ms. Callahan, a calm male voice. This is Detective Morrison, Atlantic City Police Department. I'm calling about your brother Dylan. I put him on speaker while making oatmeal. Go ahead. Sunday night at approximately 1:30 a.m., after the ER stabilized his shoulder, your brother returned to the casino floor against medical advice. He got into an altercation with a floor manager who tried to cut off his credit. The manager required 8 stitches above his left eye. I tasted the oatmeal. Needed more brown sugar. During booking, we discovered Mr. Callahan used a fraudulent Colorado driver's license to establish a $60,000 credit line. He's currently in custody facing felony assault, felony fraud, and possible identity theft charges. Bail is set at $10,000 cash only. And you're calling me because you're listed as primary emergency contact on the casino paperwork. I'm 1,200 miles away in Minneapolis. I'm not his guardian, not his spouse, not his co-signer. His legal parents are Kevin and Linda Callahan in Salt Lake City. Direct all communication to them. Detective Morrison typed something. We've spoken to them. They're present but unable to post bail. Your brother specifically requested we keep trying you. Then Dylan lied to you. I'm not paying anything. Have a nice day. I hung up and poured the oatmeal into a bowl. Paige's GoFundMe exploded past $85,000 by noon. She posted a tear-streaked selfie holding a handwritten cardboard sign. Thank you, strangers, for loving my brother more than his own sister. Then, at 2:47 p.m., a text came through from an unknown Utah number. Just 4 words. I'm flying to Newark. Meet me there, please. Dad. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I did something that surprised even me. I opened my laptop and booked a flight. Newark Liberty International. Tuesday, 11:15 a.m. I spotted Dad before he spotted me. He was sitting alone in a corner of Terminal C, hunched over a paper cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. He looked 10 years older than the last time I'd seen him. Gray stubble, bloodshot eyes, a wrinkled polo shirt he'd clearly slept in. When he looked up and saw me walking toward him, his face crumpled. Brooke, you came. I sat down across from him without hugging him, and the plastic chair was cold. Don't read too much into it. I came to say this face to face. He nodded, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. That's more than I deserve. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Travelers rushed past us with rolling suitcases, announcements echoed overhead, and somewhere a baby was crying. Normal airport chaos. And here we were, about to blow up whatever was left of our family. Dad took a shaky breath. Dylan's been gambling for 3 years straight. Not just weekends. Every week. Online at first, sports betting apps, then driving to Wendover every chance he got. He owes bookies, loan apps, casino credit lines from here to Reno. $115,000 total. We found out too late. I watched his face as he talked, looking for something, remorse, understanding, anything that suggested he finally got it. First time he came clean was 2 years ago, he continued. Owed $35,000 to some very angry people. Your mom and I took out a second mortgage to cover it. Told ourselves it was a one-time thing. He swore he'd stop, but he didn't stop. No, 8 months ago, it happened again. $70,000 this time. We refinanced the second mortgage and maxed everything. Bank sent the final foreclosure warning last week. 60 days and the house is gone. He looked down at his hands and they were shaking. We thought one big win in Atlantic City would fix everything. That's why we gave him the $4,000. He said he had a system. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. You gave a gambling addict $4,000 and sent him to a casino, and you thought that would fix things. When you say it like that, how else should I say it, Dad? He couldn't meet my eyes and he said, I don't know. I don't know anymore. A gate agent announced a flight to Chicago. Neither of us moved. Why am I here? I asked. What do you actually want from me? He looked up, and for the first time, I saw something besides desperation in his eyes. I saw shame. I wanted to ask you for $120,000. Pay off the bank. Get Dylan into rehab. Save the house. I had a whole speech prepared. His voice cracked. But sitting here, looking at you, I can't do it. I waited. He kept going. Your mom and I, we made you into something you never should have been. We turned you into the family bank. We took and took and took, and we told ourselves it was okay because you were strong enough to handle it. He started crying. Ugly tears, the kind that don't care who's watching. But you're not a bank, Brooke. You're our daughter. And we forgot that. I forgot that. I sat there and let him cry. Part of me wanted to reach across the table, to comfort him the way way I'd comforted everyone in this family my entire life, but I didn't. I couldn't. Not anymore. Do you remember my 21st birthday? I asked quietly. He looked confused. What? My 21st birthday, Dad. I was in Salt Lake visiting for the weekend. I'd just gotten promoted at my first real job. I wanted to celebrate with my family. He shook his head slowly. You don't remember because you weren't there. You drove to Wendover with Dylan that night because he wanted to hit the casinos. Mom said you'd be back for cake. You got back at 3 a.m. I'd already gone to bed. Brooke, I'm not done. I kept my voice steady even though something inside me was breaking. The next morning, you asked me if I could spot Dylan $500 because he'd had a rough night at the tables. I said yes. I always said yes. And nobody ever asked about my promotion or my birthday or anything about my life. He was staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. That was 10 years ago. And nothing has changed since then except the amounts got bigger. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I said. It was easier to see me as the reliable one, the strong one, the one who always comes through. It was easier than actually seeing me. The baby somewhere behind us had stopped crying. The terminal felt suddenly quiet. Dad reached across the table like he was going to take my hand, then stopped himself. What can I do? How do I fix this? I looked at him for a long moment. You can't. Some things don't get fixed, Dad. Some things just end. His face crumpled again. So that's it? We're done? I don't know. Maybe. But I do know this. I'm not paying for Dylan's mistakes anymore. I'm not paying for yours. Whatever happens to the house, whatever happens to him in jail, whatever happens to you and Mom, that's the consequence of choices you made, not me. He nodded, slowly, tears still streaming. I understand. Do you? Because I need you to really understand this. I'm not saying no because I'm cruel. I'm saying no because it's the only way I survive. I gave everything I had for 31 years, and it was never enough. It will never be enough. The only way this ends is if I stop. He was quiet for a long time, and then he said something I never expected. You're right. I blinked. What? You're right. About all of it. We failed you. I failed you. And there's nothing I can say that makes that okay. I didn't know what to say to that. We sat there in silence while another flight was called, while more travelers rushed past, while the world kept moving around us. Finally, I stood up. I have a flight back to Minneapolis in 2 hours. Dad stood up too. He looked broken, but somehow also more honest than I'd ever seen him. Can I hug you goodbye? I hesitated, then nodded. He hugged me, and for a moment it almost felt like it used to when I was little and he was still my hero. But it wasn't the same. We both knew it wasn't the same. I'm sorry, Brooke, he whispered, for everything. I know, I said, and then I walked away. I didn't look back. That was the last time I saw my father. The harassment lasted 8 days. Burner numbers, fake emails, and letters slipped under my door. Aunt Cheryl called crying that Mom had a nervous breakdown, and Paige posted daily TikTok updates blaming me for everything. The GoFundMe closed at $127,000. Every dollar went to Dylan's criminal defense attorney, not a cent toward the mortgage. 3 weeks later, the house on Maple Ridge Drive was officially foreclosed. Dylan took a plea deal, misdemeanor plus 90 days in a state-funded gambling treatment facility. Paige's influencer career collapsed when brands dropped her, and her follower count fell by 600,000 in 4 days. I watched none of it directly. I'd already changed my number, blocked every relative, and signed a lease on a new apartment in the North Loop. Mom tried one final time. A letter forwarded from my old address with a single Polaroid inside. Me at 5 years old, gap-toothed and smiling in a backyard kiddie pool. We're sorry scrawled on the border in her handwriting. I looked at that picture for a long time, then dropped it in the recycling bin. I didn't hate them. Hate takes energy, and I had simply run out of anything left to give. I turned 32 that fall, bought myself a cake, invited 4 coworkers who had become real friends, and ate it on my new balcony under string lights. Nobody asked me to pay for anything, nobody cried, and nobody posted about it online looking for pity. Just laughter, red velvet crumbs, and a clear night sky that finally felt like mine. For the first time in my entire life, the only person I had to carry was myself. My name is Brooke Callahan. I'm a senior financial analyst at a company whose name you'd recognize. I live alone in Minneapolis. I have a brother in rehab and a sister who doesn't speak to me. And I learned the most important lesson of my life. Your worth isn't determined by who depends on you. It's determined by who you become when you stop letting them. Some families can't be saved. Some freedom can only be found by walking away. And sometimes the cruelest thing you can do for yourself is keep sacrificing for people who never once sacrificed for you.